Hey guys, welcome back to another video here with Trading with Sarah. If you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Sarah, and on this channel, I make videos on how to trade and invest in cryptocurrency and a lot more other cool stuff. So if you're someone who's interested in learning how to trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the other cryptocurrency, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and also join the Telegram group, which I have created for you guys. It's completely free. You can join it as soon as you finish watching this video, or even right now before watching this video. You can literally just go to the description box below and go to the link. It's right there. Join it. It's completely free. Anyways, for today's video, we are going to be analyzing the price of Bitcoin. Now, I believe that Bitcoin is going to 40,000. Okay, within this week or so, Bitcoin should be heading to 40,000 or higher. And I'm going to share with you why I believe that in this video. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I am looking at Bitcoin here on the daily time frame, looking at the Binance chart on TradingView. Okay, before I tell you why I believe Bitcoin is might be heading to 40,000. Let's talk about what has happened in the last week here for Bitcoin, okay? Last week has been a very crazy week for Bitcoin. Like the price literally pumped and dumped so many times. It left so many people confused as to where Bitcoin is going. Like, look at this pump and dumps right here. This is crazy. The price of Bitcoin literally dropped from 36,000 back to 34,000, and then from there it went ahead and pumped again from 35,000 and pumped all the way to almost 38,000, and then from 38,000 it went again to dump all the way back to 35,000. And then after this dump, now the price started going back up, and it looks like it's heading back towards 37,900 and 38,000 resistance. This is crazy, and I know exactly why the price dumped. Once it, after this major bullish candle here, the reason why we received this major dump is because 37,900 is actually a huge resistance, just because you can see here from this candle here back on November 9, when the price got there, it just received massive rejection and left this long wick. So yeah, I just knew this level would act as a huge resistance once the price goes back to it. And this is what you can see. Once the price got back to that price level of 37,900, we received this massive bearish candle. Okay, so yeah, this is something, I sort of knew it would happen, but it was not like 100%, just because if you look at this bullish candle, you would think, hey, Bitcoin is probably going to pump higher, because of this massive bullish candle. But that was not the case. Instead, what we got is a massive dump. Okay, now let's talk about what I believe is going to happen. So if I zoom out here, let me zoom out. Let me go to the weekly time frame so you guys can see. Whenever you're trading, cryptocurrency, you want to always look at the bigger time frame, which includes weekly time frame, monthly time frame. You always want to look at this time frame so that you can get the bigger picture. If you're only focusing on like 4-hour time frame, 1 hour, whatever, those time frames are going to get you very confused. Sometimes you might get misled to think that, oh, the price is going this direction, while in reality, it's actually not going in that direction. Okay, so if I'm looking at the weekly time frame here, if we zoom out, we can clearly see that Bitcoin is currently in a bull trend, and this is because it is forming higher highs and higher lows. You can clearly see that this is pretty obvious. Now, while Bitcoin is forming this like higher highs and higher lows, okay, I've been able to connect a few trend lines. Okay, you can see I have a lot of trend lines here on the chart, but this trend line, I'm telling you, they have a purpose here, and I'm going to explain them to you. So if you see this first how to explain this. So this first one in white, the very thin one. In fact, let me change the color. I'll make it, let's make it green. Okay, so you see the green trend line here. You know what? Let me make it a different color just because I already have a green color there. Okay, let me make it pink. Okay, so you see this pink uptrend line, okay? So this was the first uptrend line that Bitcoin had. Okay, it's been holding this trend line ever since the beginning of this year. That's when it formed this trend line. And then back in August 14, Bitcoin actually ended up breaking this trend line, which was pretty bearish. Okay, it was pretty bearish. And the expectation of this was that the price was going to dump lower. But instead, you can see what we got is instead of the price of Bitcoin to drop all the way down to possibly like 20,000 or lower, it instead only dropped to 24,000, and then from there it just went sideways for quite a while. After that sideways movement, the price decided to now pump back up and broke the 30,000 resistance. So between 30,000 and 32. That was the resistance Bitcoin had on the weekly time frame, and Bitcoin ended up successfully breaking that resistance, and this is why we are now trading at where we are right now, 37,000. This is pretty interesting how Bitcoin was able to break back inside this trend line, like something that usually supposed to not happen, but it happened. Now, when I reanalyze the chart, I was trying to understand why is it that Bitcoin actually pumped back inside instead of dropping back lower. What I noticed is that Bitcoin actually found support on another trend line, which I drew here in purple, okay? So if you look at this purple trend line, okay, you can see that this trend line literally did provide support to Bitcoin to be able to pump higher, okay? And this trend line here is looking like a very strong trend line because it enabled the price to actually pump higher than this pink trend line here. So I feel like if the price was to ever return back to this purple trend line, it will act as a very strong support just because it did provide support here. This is what happened. Now let's talk about the other trend line. So the purple trend line acted as support. Now there's another trend line that is now acting as resistance, or was acting as resistance until the price actually broke it, which is the white trend line here. Okay, so you see this white trend line. Yeah, so that white trend line has been acting as resistance for the price of Bitcoin ever since August of 2022. You can see we have resistance here, and we have resistance here, we have resistance here. And then up until this point here, Bitcoin actually, you know, it actually ended up breaking this trend line. You can clearly see that this is a clear breakout on the weekly time frame. This is the part where Bitcoin actually created a lot of manipulation in the price. And I believe this is because, well, you know, the people who control the market, like the ones who really move the market because they have a lot of money, is because they know that a lot of people are seeing this trend line. You know, they can see that this trend is acting as resistance, so they know that a lot of people are actually going to long Bitcoin once Bitcoin breaks this resistance. So this is why they created all these manipulations on the Bitcoin price here. You know, they broke it. If I go back to the daily time frame, you see what I mean by the manipulation. Okay, so I go back to the daily time frame, we can see the manipulation. Look at that. So Bitcoin actually broke this trend line here on the daily time frame back on November 9, and then it managed to pump all the way to 37,900. Okay, almost 38,000. And then from there, it came back down. It dumped heavily. Okay, it dumped heavily and broke back inside that trend line. Now, this would have made a lot of people who went long here to exit their trade, or possibly even hit their stop loss, because look, the price literally went back in. So you would see this as a false breakout, right? But guess what? After Bitcoin broke back inside this trend line, what it did next is it went ahead and pumped again back outside that trend line. And this is crazy. It was just doing this back and forth. After the pump out, it went again and dropped again. Okay, now this third drop, was it third or second? I think this would be considered second drop. Okay, so this second drop, you're going to notice something very interesting. Let me zoom in closer. So once Bitcoin dropped back again a second time, notice what happened. What happened? What happened is that Bitcoin, instead of closing back inside this trend line like it did over here, it actually closed outside of the trend line. Now, this is actually bullish. This tells me that, hey, the bulls are actually going to try to push the price back higher because they decided to respect this trend line here. They respected it as support, and now they are going to push the price back higher. And this is exactly what happened. You can see the next candle that followed this bearish candle was actually bullish, and it made sure to close outside of that resistance here. It closed outside of it, and this is why we've been going high. Okay, now as we are going high, the next thing that we need to be watching out for now is the resistance that is sitting between 37,900 and 38,000. This is the resistance that Bitcoin currently needs to break in order for it to go to 40,000 and higher. Now, I strongly believe this is something that's going to be very possible to happen this week, just because of if you just look at the bigger time frame. Let me go to the weekly time frame. If you go to the weekly time frame, you can just see that, hey, on the weekly time frame, we got a strong bullish candle close here. This current week, the past week that just closed, okay, this is a very strong bullish candle. So there's a high chance that we could possibly go to 40,000. But this can only happen if it breaks the resistance between 37,900 and 38,000, then we will definitely go higher. Okay, now you might be asking, is this the right time to buy Bitcoin, or should you be selling Bitcoin? Well, based on the analysis, it's very at this point, it's very it's a critical moment to know whether you should buy Bitcoin or not. What I would recommend is to not even buy Bitcoin right now, just because you never want to buy anything, invest in anything after it has pumped by so much. Right now, you can see Bitcoin has just been going up. It has pumped by a lot, and it's currently at the highest it has ever been, ever since the bearish trend began last year. And so at this point, it's not really I wouldn't really advise for you to buy Bitcoin if you're planning on going long or short. It's not a good idea to go long right now. What I would recommend is for you to patiently wait for the price to break the 38,000 resistance before you can safely go and buy Bitcoin. If we successfully break that resistance at 38,000, we break it, we pump higher, come back to retest, then you can go ahead and buy it at the retest. But for now, it's extremely risky for you to be buying Bitcoin right now, just because there's a high chance that we might get a dump. There's a high chance. All this thing I'm saying, it's not 100% guaranteed. There's a chance that the price might actually decide to start dropping back again from where it is, just because we have that resistance at 38,000, which is a very strong resistance. Okay, so yeah, that's why buying right now is very, very risky. But if you want to take the risk, go ahead, buy it, and you could be lucky. The price might end up actually going high, and so yeah, that is the analysis for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell so you can get notified every time I post a video. Join the Telegram group as well. Link is in the description box below. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next video.